Well, I fully believe there's no like one way set process to be successful. I'm not somebody who's going to sell, here's the 5 steps to $1 million because I think it's bullshit. I have this whole thing that one of my favorite quotes is know the rules like a pro and break it like an artist, break them like an artist. It's a Pablo Picasso quote. I feel like on the online space, what you see, like people like they follow like a certain set of rules. And then they get to a point and one person says, fuck it. And they do something else and they're like massively successful.
It's Retreat and Grow Rich, the podcast. I'm Darla Ledoux, best-selling author, coach, and retreat leader. And I'm on a mission to normalize transformation on the planet, one intimate retreat at a time. This show's dedicated to the coaches, consultants, healers, leaders, and light workers who are here to hold space for the truth that transforms lives and get paid for it. Expert retreat and business tips, strategies, stories, and magic. It's your weekly mini retreat delivered right to your ears. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Retreat and Grow Rich, the podcast. I'm here with Laura Wieck. She is absolutely fabulous. You will be so excited to know her. Laura is a master coach and creator of the BodyMind coaching program. She's dedicated to helping holistic practitioners utilize the power of the body-mind connection in supporting their clients and growing their businesses. She believes that you've been blessed with the talents to help others hear and the desire to make a difference. I'm guessing that means heal.
I think it was heal.
Heal and hear. Hear their body and heal, all of the above. And her mission is to help you honor yourself, serve your clients, and grow your business in a heart-centered and impactful way. That means no more burnout, no more exhaustion, no more charging less than you are worth. She lives with her husband and 2 precious, well-loved pups in Ohio. My pup is over there. I'm like, we could share pup stories, but he's busy licking himself. And Laura strives to live her life fully present, conscious, and connected while inspiring others to do the same. And that is such a huge quality for being in front of the room and leading retreats, which we'll talk about in a minute. But Laura, I think of you all the time when I get massage, because I know that is your background and your lineage. And, I find everyone comes to coaching and retreats, and there's so many ways we can talk about it, whether it's mentoring, thought leadership, content creation, all the things that we do to really serve the world. Everyone comes up through a different path, and your path is through massage. Mm-hmm. And, I know you've had a passion for helping massage therapists stop giving away their services and giving away so much more than they're charging for. So I always have this heightened awareness when I'm getting a massage. I have this great new guy that I found here in Southern California, and he's really awesome. So I kind of ask him questions like about his background and his training and his philosophies and things like that. But I'm always looking for, there's so much more. Some massage therapists just rub you, right? And some are actually coaching and healing and furthering the conversation. And like, really, it's a whole, kind of like your hairstylist can be your therapist. It can be kind of like that, right? And
yes.
And I think you found this for yourself. Your people were so committed. They kept coming back to you, and you started to look at, well, what is this really about? Why are they really, coming back to me? And how can I stop burning myself out? How can I earn more money with these gifts? And now you teach other people to do that, not just massage therapists, but, coaches, consultants, healers, in all realms. So talk a little bit about your story.
Holy cow. That was quite an intro. So thank you for all that. Yeah. It's funny. You were talking about how when people come into coaching and consulting, and I think the same is true for massage, like I never grew up thinking, hey, I'm going to be a massage therapist. In fact, when I told my parents that I had signed up for massage school, their response was like, do you know what they do? Like they thought I was training to be a professional prostitute, basically. But
of obvious concern.
obviously. So, but massage found me at just a place in my life where I was incredibly broken and lost. And, I know we've talked before, I had a traumatic experience when I lived in the Bahamas. I was supposed to go scuba diving with my two best friends. At the last minute, changed my mind. They never surfaced. And it just, everything changed,
To highlight what, because you just, they never surfaced. They've never been seen since.
We have no idea. We never found their bodies. We have no idea what happened. And, I had massive amounts of survivor's guilt because I had changed my mind at the last minute. And, it was crazy. The whole 2 weeks was crazy. That happened on New Year's Day. My grandfather passed away the next week. The gentleman that I had been dating told me he got another girl pregnant. This all happened in a 2-week time span. And, just everything I thought for my life was gone, just rug pulled out from under me, and moved back to Ohio, moved back into my, with my parents, and just was so lost for so long. And through a really random series of events, I had found a job, and a coworker had said, hey, by the way, we can take these classes over here at this school. Do you want to learn how to give a good rub down? And I was like, okay, I don't have anything else to do. And, the first night of school, I met my husband. So it's,
crazy.
It was amazing. But more importantly, what happened in massage school, because alongside the grief and the guilt, I started having pain, specifically in my left hip. And just this achiness. And I had told myself it was because, I'm sitting in an office instead of running around an island, and, all these factors. But what was really happening, and there was this moment when I was in massage school where my instructor said, people hold their emotions physically. And a lot of times unprocessed feelings get trapped in your muscles. And it just, this light bulb went off for me of holy cow, that's my hip has been trying to tell me, all those well-meaning people who love me and care for me, who told me, don't feel guilty. I had shoved all the things I was and wasn't allowed to feel. I shoved it all down because I didn't want to be too emotional, or, it was I had a period on my grief, and after that I just had to shove it down, and my body was clearly telling me that there was more to feel and more to process. And, massage school became very deeply healing for me. And, I think it's funny, when I started working, I knew how to give a great massage. I'm so grateful for the instructor that I had. But what ended up happening is when I started working, I started hearing my clients' stories. And, I thought I think for anybody who has been through am I allowed to say bad words on your podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I always want to check. Been through a shit-tastic trauma, I always thought it was the big things, and that. And I think I had this belief that I was the only one who had ever felt that way. I was the only one who had ever felt that grief or that. And what ended up happening is, I always say massage, when you get a massage and you literally take your clothes off and let somebody touch you naked, right? You are letting down some boundaries. You are being vulnerable. And what would happen is, I'd be working on my clients, and they would tell me their stories. But yes, there was some big traumas, but a lot of it was just this everyday stress.
Yeah.
The overwhelm, the exhaustion, all the things. And, it kind of piqued my interest. And I could literally map out. I could see, somebody would tell me, I would see what was happening in their body when they would tell me about moms would worry about their kids and their shoulders would go up to their ears. And, people would hold on to things and I would see them clench. I would feel people who were digging their heels into the ground and I could see it and I could feel it. And I saw this whole body mind thing literally unfolding in front of me. And yeah, I feel like you have a question.
I have
Go
so
ahead.
many. So what did that look at? What was the experience of that like for you? And I mean, I have like 6 questions, but we'll start there. Because I think, well, actually, I'm going to back up. So many people come to this work, right? Your clients, my clients, like come to this work of giving back in the world because they did have a shitstorm happen. I can go back to my stepdad died and I got divorced in the same 3-month period. All of that took place. And, I felt lost. And it was in that feeling lost that I actually surrendered my ego's need to be in control of how this was going to go. And it was in that space that the opportunities started coming in and I started putting these pieces together. So I see that happen so much. And it's amazing that you were able to make that connection. And then to see this grief, grief from this terrible experience and this guilt that people didn't let me feel or have or be in, because the feeling makes people uncomfortable, right? And a lot of your work is around feelings, and we're going to, I'm sure, talk more about that. But the feeling makes people uncomfortable, so we feel like we have to hide it, and then that gets stored. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. And then comes this moment when you get a massage, and like people who, sometimes it blindsides people when they have that emotional release, but it's like when somebody comes in and like literally through the boundaries of you surrendering, being on the table, and then them physically touching it, it just comes out. It's finally seen. It's finally witnessed.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
And so much can change in somebody. And I think, as I've come into this body mind space, and there's a reason why I say body mind and not mind body. But I think a lot of times when we start dealing with trauma, we feel like it's this head down approach of like, I have to understand and make the thing make sense. But what I've really come to see is that sometimes you just need to feel it. And in the essence of feeling it, you find the clarity.
Yes.
Like people are going to sit in their head so long trying to figure out the thing. And then, but if you just surrender, be with it, it typically will pass. And you find the clarity that you were seeking for.
It's like, I was working with a client recently who has some stuff in her relationship and she wants to fix it, right? It's been going on a long time, right? It's okay, immediately I must make a decision about this relationship. We must fix it. And that energy makes it hard to even explore it, right? And so, the assignment was refuse to attempt to fix anything for at least 1 month. Mm-hmm. Right? It's been going on years.
Yeah.
So you can just be with what is.
Yeah.
And it sounds very similar.
And I mean, to me, this is where I hear, Joseph Campbell saying any emotion or any feeling fully felt is bliss. Mm. And we have these ideas of what is good feelings, bad feelings, good emotions, bad emotions, who I'm supposed to be, who I need to hide. And all of this, like the body is actually speaking truth no matter what.
Yes. I love that.
And when you step in and tune into that, you access this, and I would also say the body is feeling and holding all of this, but your body is also like this portal to the present and to the wholeness and the earth of everything around you. And the gateway into presence and into wholeness and into feeling, the gateway into feeling and presence is feeling.
Yes. And
you can't,
the body.
Yeah, go ahead. I said something genius. Yay.
The body. Well, you said the body's feeling the truth no matter what.
Oh yeah. And your ability to feel is the gateway into presence.
And the body doesn't judge this is a good feeling or a bad feeling. It just is, right? It's when we get our head involved.
Yes.
So absolutely. What was it like when you started seeing these connections? So you're working with clients on the table, they're telling you the story, you're watching their body. Like, what was that like for you? Did you see like Like I worked with a client once who would see these ribbons of light. Like, what did it look like for you? Were you seeing like dots of connections, or was it more of an intuitive sense, or you could feel in their muscles? What was it like?
Nobody has ever asked me this. And here's the irony. So I'm writing a book this year and I literally wrote about this morning. So it's so funny that you're asking this.
Of course you did.
Of course.
Thank you, universe.
Just felt it. Yes. It showed up in a lot of different ways. A lot of times it was very dependent upon the person. And I'm not much I would oftentimes see images in my head. I felt like when somebody let me in, like my intention when I give a massage is to just receive the client. Right? I'm not there to fix. I'm not even there to give anything. I'm just there to fully receive the person.
Yeah.
And there's this moment I put my hands on them. Like I always just started with gently putting my hands on them. And it's like their muscles just go and like stuck in. And then it's like, whoa, what's here? But I would oftentimes, I'll share with you one or two examples, but the first time I ever had like a really big intuitive hit, I was working on a friend of mine and, I was doing the massage and turned him over and I just gently placed my hands on the top of his feet. I like to do that to kind of ground after you flip over. Cause the worst part of the massage is in the middle when you have to flip over, So I just put my hands there. And I had this image pop into my mind of like a marquee sign, like bright lights. And it said forgiveness. I was like, what the fuck is this? Okay. All right. And I kept seeing it. And then, and I was like, I think I'm just going crazy. Like, and I just kept going. And then it just forgiveness. And I was like, what the hell? And then I started tasting cigarettes and I don't smoke, but I could clearly taste cigarettes in my mouth.
Interesting.
And I'm sitting here, I'm like, okay, what is going on? This is really weird. And finally I just, I built up the courage to just say, hey, you know what? I'm having this experience. I have no idea what this means, but I just see the word forgiveness and I'm tasting cigarettes and I just feel like I'm supposed to tell you. And, oh my goodness, Darla, I'm thinking of another thing that happened at a retreat this year. But, and he takes a moment and he says, my mom passed away last year from lung cancer and I've never forgiven her for choosing cigarettes over me.
Wow.
Yeah. I had another woman, she had some low back tension and you can do this release with a hand on the low back and a hand on the belly. And you just gently intend to pull them together. And I saw this image of a red balloon with spikes all over it. And then a toy alligator, like a bath toy. And at this point, I know it was really weird. I'm like, what the hell? Like
specifically a bath toy.
Yes. I was like, what the hell is this? It is like a toy alligator. And so I've at that point I had learned to just say what I see and what I experienced. And I told her and she said, I've been having a lot of anger issues lately. And it's interesting that she has a 4-year-old grandson who has anger issues and they call his anger his alligator. So the toy alligator was,
wow.
Yeah. And just like, so it was a lot of times it's images, but I would feel presence. I would feel guided. But yeah,
yeah. I love that you're sharing this because I have my own version of how things show up for me intuitively. Yeah. And, in the beginning when I was hosting retreats, I would feel things physically. I've learned physical intuition is a big part of how I operate, where I'll feel what someone's feeling.
Yes.
And so I would have these symptoms and I didn't understand that they weren't mine.
Yeah.
And, so I've gotten a variety of things now that I set up a container and a boundary and I've started doing these sessions I call VIP love journeys that involves tuning in with the body, which is super fun. I've always studied it, Laura, this, but I'd never really taken, and I use it here and there and I've started using it more and more. But you feel kind of crazy.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that because when I first started, I mean, the ones that I just shared with you were like probably a couple of years in when I'd really refined it. When I first started, I would somebody would come in with a headache, I'd go home with a headache. They came in with knee pain, I went home with knee pain.
Yes.
And so like I had to learn the idea of transference. And I learned when it came up just to receive the information, then give it back, because I did feel like I needed to hear it in that way to serve them. But I consciously chose, like when I would walk out, I had like an imaginary barrier when I walk out, like it cleaned me off. When I washed my hands, I would intentionally wash off the client. And just, when they were done, I give them back the energy. I'd say, thank you for sharing. And it's yours.
I'm going to ask you in a little bit for some tools for leading retreats for energy when you've got groups. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So you're starting to get these messages, and then you're passing them on to your clients. Mm-hmm. Yet that's not necessarily what they came for.
Yeah.
So at what point did you start to go, okay, there's a bigger container I'm offering here?
Yeah. So again, it was definitely a journey. And I think, the ones that I shared with you were like the big ones. Most of what I heard was like just the daily stress. And I knew, I always say that Deepak Chopra was like my gateway drug into BodyMind stuff, because I started reading like every Deepak Chopra book out there. And I knew that there was more available for my clients that had more to do with mindset, that had more to do with looking at habits and patterns. And I found coaching. And so, which was a divine intervention in itself, but ended up going and doing, my first coaching program was in 2008. And I started my business. And that was actually when I left the spa. My husband and I got married, moved back to Ohio. He went back to school. I started my business, and then the economy tanked all within like, a month or two, of course. Yeah. But I started my business with this intention of I'm combining coaching and massage, because massage helps with the physical release, but the coaching, the mindset, the choices, helping people just hear their body, like that was something that people were missing. People just weren't listening.
Totally.
So I think, prior to this, I kind of played around with these things when I was working in the spa, but I set that intention when I started my business that I'm going to bring these two skills together. And I got the worst advice that I followed in my business right then, which I'm grateful for now, but at the time I totally listened. My parents' old accountant.
Okay. Definitely the person to ask for.
Totally the person said, nobody knows what coaching is. Just do massage. And then later down the road, you can add the coaching. Mm. So, and you're a coach, it's like, you can't just not coach sometimes,
right.
Just when people are like, just like, So they would schedule a 60-minute massage. They would be in my house for 30 minutes extra, like 90 minutes total, sometimes 2 hours, where I'm coaching them, consciously coaching them. Now, it was great because I got a lot of referrals. My clients were consistent, but I was literally giving 30 to 45 minutes extra per client every single time. And the worst part of it, right? They would have amazing insights. They would have amazing breakthroughs. Then they would go home and do the same shit over and over again and come back in, 2 weeks, a month later with the same thing. And so, it just...
So talk about that. Why was that? I mean, I have my own theories about that, but why was it that they were getting the breakthrough, but they weren't actually maintaining it?
Well, I my best guess was, I think we value what we invest in. And so they paid me for 60 minutes on the table, and they were not consciously choosing to be in the coaching conversation. It was not like they said, yes, I want to be coached and receive this. They just thought I was being nice, and that I'm just Oprah and I'm super wise and it was amazing. And so they'd have this aha, right? They'd have this aha, but they didn't have the personal
accountability,
commitment. The buy-in of themselves to say, oh, I want to do this, and I think the habits that people keep people stuck are so unconscious. And part of the power of coaching, especially when you invest in it, like I will stop a habit because I know that there's a freaking bill going to my coach. Like, oh, remember that thing you paid for?
Right.
Maybe you shouldn't eat the cookie. You know? So
yeah, we commit where our checkbook is.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And you know, there's to me the most disheartening thing, and it almost like hurts my soul when someone gets like this gold nugget insight, but when they're not really committed to it and they're engaging with it like it's like they just read Oprah magazine and it's like, oh, isn't that cool? Yes. And it's like, it hurts my soul because it's like, no, stop, wait, do you realize how this is permeating your entire life? Yes. And so much more is possible. And you're just gonna like, let it go. You're not gonna grab it.
Well, I think people think the breakthrough is the end point, like what they're trying to reach for. And the breakthrough is like the beginning.
Right. When we figure it out, if our brain figures it out, we're like, oh, yay. And you and I both have the figuring out gene.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Really strong.
So it can feel really good. Like, oh, I figured it out. Now I can explain it. But the transformation happens in actually creating a new experience, embodying it and implementing it.
Yeah. I think that's where the embodiment piece is so crucial. You know, and again, that body-mind connection of you need to physically do and feel and experience it for it to be long-lasting change.
Yes. And that sounds like a good segue into retreats because it's such a great way to do and experience it. And if anybody's listening and you've ever had that feeling, I think of it as like, it's almost like feeling dirty. When you give, you know, I say give your substance where it can do most good. It's like when you're giving away gold and people aren't valuing it, there's this weird feeling of incongruency, right? The energy exchange isn't equal and this is the worst.
Yeah.
So stop doing it. Because when we keep doing that, like giving good ideas to someone who's not ready to receive it, we're creating issues across the board, right? Because it's like, you know, giving the fish instead of teaching how to fish.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you, so you started coaching and adding coaching and charging for it and realizing there was a whole new freedom. And then you also added retreats. And so talk a little bit about, you know, and now you do a certification, you certify people in this body-mind approach, and you have this whole training, which I remember really clearly about the second brain that's in the body. And, you know, there's so much to your work. Talk about how you got into retreats, why that has helped. How did that help actually transition you from these sessions into a totally different approach?
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's a little thing that we just need to bridge the gap of when I went from with clients to the certification. Just because I felt like I'm a big experience person, right? So there was, so when my clients come in, even like a session was like a little mini retreat from their day, you know, and I think there's something so important about being face to face with people, having that experience. And so when I did, you know, I went on this journey of learning how to actually, you know, I call them programs, you know, how to create a program, how to enroll people, all the things of like how to make, you know, how to get them into a process where all of this clicked and worked. And then I had a friend who basically said, you need to teach other massage therapists this, right? So I started doing it online, which is great. You know, I'm grateful for that. I started doing online courses, but there was always this piece that was missing. And then I met you, the queen, the queen of retreats. And I forget what the initial question is that you asked.
Well, I think let's highlight, first of all, you started doing it online and kicked ass at it.
Oh,
and really, because so many massage therapists were having a similar pain to what you had, and you were able to really tap into it because you'd been there and you're brilliant at describing it. And one of the things I learned from you is the way you describe the feeling in the body as part of how you talk about it. So,
Yeah.
you know, this is obviously Retreat and Grow Rich podcast, but all of our people are engaging in online marketing. They're creating online marketing. And one of the things you're just brilliant at is, you know, do you feel the weight on your shoulders? Do you get that knot in your stomach? Like the way that you even approach bringing it online is very much body mind.
Yes. And so what I would even say to that, it's yes, describe it. But you have to feel it for them to know that you understand. You know, if you can describe somebody's pain better than they can describe it themselves and actually put words to the things that are physically, that they're feeling every single day, all of a sudden they just automatically assume you have the solution. And so when, you know, when I do a webinar, it's not, oh, do you feel the tension on your shoulders and the ache in your stomach? Like I will literally be on the other side of it. Like you feel like just the heaviness. Do you feel like the pit of your stomach? Like you have
why is that so important? Because it's the same thing with retreats. If you're telling your story from your head, recounting the experiences, you have one energy in the room. But if you're reliving the experience and re-experiencing the emotions, now you're opening up vulnerability in the room. So how do you explain that? Why does that happen?
I'm just going to say just like that. I think that people feel your words, people feel your energy, people feel authenticity. And I think at the end of the day, everybody wants to feel heard and seen and acknowledged. Mm-hmm. And if I'm talking like this and everything is great, it doesn't work.
Right.
You know, my goal in my business, if I do a Facebook Live, it's not to say the perfect words or like have it be awesome, although they are. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
My goal is just to feel and be in my body and speak the truth that flows through. Oh, you want to hear? Here's a little lesson from my grandma. Grandma's 101. Grandma wrote a book when she was 98. So my grandma, she's awesome. We were having a conversation about this, and I think you'll really appreciate this. She said that she knows the difference from words coming out and words coming in. When she tries to write from words coming out, it is her ego, her framework of the world, her quote unquote reality of what should and should not be that is trying to push an agenda on somebody else.
Yes.
Her goal when she writes is to get so quiet, so still, so present in her body where the words come in. And when the words come in, those words are truth.
Yeah.
And I think the same is true for a retreat, you know, and I think for the marketing, my goal is simply to be in my body and let the words come in. And it's like, the more I get out of my own way, the more the marketing speaks to the person, the more the webinar converts, the more the people are signing up. And for a retreat, you know, you and I planned out, and I still use the same framework. You guys, Darla's the bomb, just do the course. That same framework that, you know, we created all those years ago, I still use that. I still have the framework, but my goal, honestly, you want a tool? When I'm in a retreat, my number one goal is to feel my feet.
That's awesome.
I'm just going to feel my feet and, you know, that stillness. And I'm not scared because I learned this from you. I'm not scared to be quiet and just wait for the words to come in. And the more I can demonstrate what it means to be present, the more I invite them into that part of themselves that knows.
Yes.
That's where we create magic. If I'm trying, you know, and I've learned now, like, okay, I have this flow, and my course is a CE course, so I do have to hit certain parts of it for it to work. But I've just learned that the energy actually flows through the agenda. And sometimes this piece goes here and this piece goes here and this piece goes here. But if I can just show up and serve the energy, be present to it, magic. It's magical. And, you know, for me, the bringing retreats into what I teach with massage therapists, especially for people who are hands-on, people think that they need the information and the knowledge, which is the online course. Great, fine, it's helpful. What people need is the embodiment.
Yes.
That's why the retreat is essential for me.
Yeah.
They need the embodiment, or else it's harder.
Well, and it's kind of like what you're saying with even in a webinar that you're feeling the feeling. When you're in a room, it's even easier, but that feeling, that energy transfers, right? Like I have a client who did some training videos. She did a 5-day challenge of videos, and it was about it was marketing oriented. And she had people message her that their whatever pain went away when they watched her videos, right? Because she's a healer. And the energy transfers with you,
Yeah.
like, and what you said, everybody wants to be heard, seen, and acknowledged, just like the feeling needs to be seen, felt, and acknowledged. Like that can happen through
Oh
the
yeah.
internet just by you sharing. And it can happen in
Yeah.
the room the more you're bringing presence to the room,
Yeah.
which
And
is,
I
your hot button.
I will say I have learned to develop the skill of feeling it online, feeling it like when I have group calls with my clients, I can feel it. I can do an enrollment call, where we don't even see each other. And I can say, oh, I just felt this happen. I felt your, your chest open, and I felt this like shoot of energy, like come out of, like, I've learned to attune and feel it that way. But I will say it was easiest for me to start in person, and
Yeah.
which is why, retreats are just something, even the act of somebody leaving their daily routine to come to a space, to be
Yes.
fully in themselves, to experience, and total aside, my number one job is feel my feet, be in my body. I can't make them have the embodiment, but I know that if I can demonstrate it, it opens the door for them to feel it. So I don't have any agenda that I'm going to make them feel a certain way. I'm just here to say that I just need to stay with myself.
That's awesome. And you talked about having like a framework, but then the different lessons
Mm-hmm.
can move around and you allow the words to come through you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something, I preach about, obviously, because people get so hung up on the details, and it's so interesting. And until you're aware, you're not aware that it doesn't matter in the way that you think. And I have so many people say, I'm not worried about the retreat. I know when I have people in the room, I'm good. I'm good in front of the room. But it's getting people in the room. And to me, those are connected. Because if who you're being in a sales conversation, who you're being in your marketing is one thing, they're not ever going to get in the room to experience who you're being. And I would even challenge that you're not going to be that good in front of the room because you're not practicing that embodiment. But people get so hung up on the details. So what have you found to be the balance between structure and allowing and space for presence?
Well, I fully believe there's no like one way set process to be successful. I'm not somebody who's going to sell, here's the 5 steps to $1,000,000 because I think it's bullshit. I have this whole thing that one of my favorite quotes is know the rules like a pro and break them like an artist. It's a Pablo Picasso quote. I feel like on the online space, what you see is like people, like they follow like a certain set of rules. And then they get to a point and one person says, fuck it. And they do something else and they're like massively successful.
Yeah.
Right. And then they come back around and they teach that process to everybody else. So, and then everybody follows that thing. And then somebody takes that and says, fuck it. And they go do their other thing. And then they become wildly successful and go back and teach the thing. I'm of the belief that, your path to success is really about your inner alignment more than anything. For me, webinars just feel right. Webinars, Facebook Lives, I can turn on a camera and go. And I just, I'm a projector. So that natural ability to teach and to share, it works for me. It works for my audience. So people who get hung up on the details, I do believe there's a framework. I believe, we know what a sales funnel should look like, that there's an engagement phase and, the attraction, the whatever, the nurturing, all that stuff. We know that there's a process. Take that framework and then infuse your energy into it. It's got to be you from the inside out, or else it will always fall flat. So I look at that more as like scaffolding,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm still the freaking temple inside of this thing.
Mm.
So I'm just I'm just gonna
Yeah,
like
I love that
be.
analogy because you're to me, it's like the framework gives you space to be yourself. If you're worried the whole time about what am I doing next, where am I going, you can't be free to
Right.
just be in the moment.
And as soon as
You
you
need a
start, yeah,
yeah,
you need that framework. And as soon as you start saying, well, what am I supposed to say to make somebody do the thing? You're turning it's manipulation.
yes.
I think, and I think, especially if you're heart centered, I know so many people who have aversion to sales and marketing because they feel like it's manipulation. So if you're going into this of like, what do I have to say to get somebody in the room? You're going to miss the point.
Right.
It's going to be
Right.
grasping at a feather that just constantly, like the act of grasping pushes it just that much further away. I think the better question is, how can I be myself and invite somebody? I do this amazing meditation with my group where, we come back into themselves and just, we envision that ideal client sitting in front of them and just say, what is that one thing that person needs to hear today?
Yeah.
And you just say that one thing. That one thing is not, oh, do my retreat. That one thing is, I see you.
Yes.
I hear you. I know that. Let me help you. Yeah.
That's, I'm sure you've tried a lot of things on your journey.
No, what? And every time I tried something that was told to me, like, you should do the thing, it never worked.
Yeah. Well, and when you say, here's my retreat, or do my course or whatever, without the other piece, how does that land versus what you're saying? Like, I see you, or whatever the message is that needs to come through today.
Not gonna lie, I've had my issues and I've had my issues around money. I am a freaking healer. So I've had to heal my own stuff. As soon as I go into that, join my retreat, do the thing, I feel like I go into this energy of trying to convince.
Mm-hmm.
And then that energy just falls flat. One thing I've learned as far as, because I love webinars and there is an invitation on my webinar to talk with someone on my team. Again, I'm a projector. I know you talk human design, and I don't know if that's included in your podcast.
We actually have an episode with Chris Prochaska on human design. So people
I'm going to go listen to that.
Yes.
So I'm a projector. And you actually said this when we were working together. I have to be invited to make an offer.
Yes.
I have to be. Like so I've actually have things, my webinar is automated. Hate to pull the rug out from anybody, but I make it so I'm invited to share the next step. Mm-hmm. So, and one thing that I've learned is that the energy has to invite me. It's not necessarily a person. I have to feel invited by the energy to make an offer. So
So what's the way that you do that when you're doing a recorded webinar?
This is a great my secrets. So my favorite part of a webinar, like, you go through all the teaching, and by the way, teach them real shit on a webinar. Okay, there's a balance. Don't teach them everything, but don't be a webinar where it's all about you, please. So actually teach them useful information. And there's a point that I love in the webinar where I talk about how you have a choice, right? Where the insight is just the beginning, the breakthrough is just the beginning. And the real choice of the matter is, are you going to do what it takes to create the change that you want in your life? Right. And it's just that, like, come to Jesus moment of, most people are going to watch this and they're going to go back and wake up tomorrow and be right back in it. But the thing that's going to change is if you actually take an action, you actually create a new neural pathway that is going to start your journey towards what you desire. Right. So then, then I like to say, look, if you're saying yes, if this is something your heart is beating out of your chest, right? This is, to me, where I create the connection. If you're sitting there right now on this training with your shoulders back, your chest open, like that part of you just saying, yes, this is what you have been waiting for. To me, that's the invitation. If their heart's like that, I want to help you. And let me invite you into this call. Let's talk.
So in that moment where you're describing those people, you're connecting with the energy of those people and saying they're inviting me.
Yes.
I'm no longer talking to the other people. I'm talking to these people who are inviting me in.
And you'll notice I literally say, are your shoulders back, your chest open, like that you're feeling that voice, that thing, that, you know, that thing at 2 a.m. that you pray for, that you're just waiting for someone or something to show you the sign that it's time to take the next step. This feeling, this is it. And I literally describe the body mechanics of it, because I can't tell you how many applications we get where people are like, you literally were in my body. Not just in my head, you were in my body, and describe the very thing that was happening in that moment.
That's awesome. That's people write that down. That's an amazing, amazing tip.
That's part, yeah.
So
yeah.
You, you know, when you're talking, you talked about the embodiment, right? And you talked about how most people are going to watch this or listen and they're going to do nothing. And, you know, I'm talking to the people who want to take action and create a new neural pathway. Mm-hmm. And to me, this is part of why retreats are so amazing, because you can have people create a new experience and a new reality in the moment right there. Whereas you're coaching someone on the phone and you say, okay, here's your assignment. Go talk to 3 people. Here's your assignment. Give away some money. Here's your assignment, you know, whatever it is to shake up to create the new neural pathway. Now they're overcoming all the resistance to doing that at home alone in their head. Whereas you're in a retreat and you say, you know, be whatever. I remember being a participant at a retreat where we waited for a good 20 minutes for a girl to jump rope, because that was the thing that would free her, right? And she was in so much resistance to it. If she had had that assignment at home, she wouldn't have done it, right? Just to play. But in that moment, in the retreat, she could choose, it's okay to play.
Yeah.
In this moment, and break through that resistance. So what's been your experience with the embodiment and the neural pathways created in your retreats with your clients?
So I love this question. You know, I have a dance instructor who says, whenever we start a new dance, we're going to get really excited. Then we're going to get really confused. Then we're going to get really frustrated and pissed off. And then it's all going to make sense. So I like to say, when I start my retreats, you're going to get really excited. You're going to get really confused. You're going to hate me. And then you're going to like totally this is all going to make sense. So if I'm pissing you off, I'm doing a good thing. You know, I'm not scared of that. So, it's magical when you can, you know, just what you described with that jumping rope, those unconscious beliefs that are stopping people, right? And in that retreat setting, if you can just be there with them to take that one step outside of the comfort zone and literally just do the thing. It's like, I mean, it's pure magic, but that look on their face where they're just like, oh, I really can do this.
Yeah.
I mean, that is worth it to me. And I just think it's such a crucial part of any learning process. I know for myself, it's, you know, I consciously choose live, you know, in-person experiences because I know that those are what create long-lasting change for me.
Yes.
It's just,
and it can be the simplest thing, right?
Yes.
Like whether it's jumping up and down in front of the room, or
I make them dance, and then usually get the person who's like, I don't want to dance. And you're like, just fucking do the dance.
Right. Or being, you know, we do a being with exercise where you're, you know, just in eye contact and connecting and noticing the mental chatter and allowing that to release so you can be with a person, right? Like as a retreat leader, if you can't be with someone wherever they are, you're not going to be great at it. You've got to practice that. Yeah. So there's so many different activities that really help people get in their body. Talk about, I kind of want to bring us back to the BodyMind and the work you're certifying people in. And is this for holistic practitioners exclusively? Is this also good for coaches who want to add the body piece? Like, I feel like some people come in through the mind. That's my, you know, and I'm an engineer, I'm an overthinker, like that I come in through the mind background, and the body has been so helpful for me. And my body, like I've had injury, you know this, that's really guided me to say, wait, start here. Pay attention to me over here. And some people come in through the body and add in the awareness or consciousness piece. Yeah. And you're bringing them together. So talk about that and why you're so passionate about it.
Goodness. Well, I might need a coaching session now. So, I started in the population that I know, which is body workers.
Yeah.
Specifically because I saw a need. I hate the time for money model. I just don't think that serves. I don't really think that serves anybody. So currently it's very targeted towards body workers, holistic healers, practitioners.
Well, and that's part of why you've been so successful, because you're so targeted and people resist targeting.
Oh my God. Let me tell you, I used to start with just any massage therapist, but now we're really focused in on the therapists that we focus in on two populations. One is the therapist that was told, in order to be successful, you have to book yourself solid. And then they're usually the one who are spending the time extra with their clients, talking to them, giving them the tips and the resources, not charging for it. And they've hit this invisible ceiling where like they literally have no capacity for more. Right. So that's one. And then our other population is there's a subset of therapists who just know that they do not want to be average. Right. They're from the beginning, they don't want to play by those rules. So this is also a good fit for them. So we've really eliminated people who are like, I'm just starting. Great. Go refine your skills, learn how to be really proficient with the body work, and then we can really help you. So I will say my intention where I see this going is definitely expanding out to more coaches. And I don't think healers need to be hands-on. But I do think a lot of people deal with the body. Energy workers for sure, Reiki practitioners. We get a lot of Reiki practitioners. So yes, it is totally applicable for people who are outside just the bodywork field. And I think part of my journey of where I am, because this year I've grown so much, I've brought on a team, like the thing is like happening. And so I know that is definitely in our line of sight. And we're just really, I love this phrase. We are feeling our way forward. We're letting the energy call us. I don't want to push too hard, too fast, because it's been a beautiful journey so far.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. So if someone is in one of those two categories, and they want to take your webinar and learn from you, because you give away really great stuff.
Yes.
And you'll also really get them. They'll feel seen, heard, probably healed at a certain level by listening in.
You know what? Are you asking where they can go?
Yes.
What I would say, I think anybody who's listening, I think it would be beneficial if you go and watch it anyway. Just because even if you're interested in doing webinars, I think just to feel how that messaging can be really powerful. So let's not limit it to just body workers. I think especially for your audience, I would invite anybody to come.
If you want to be amazing at delivering webinars, go learn from Laura.
Oh, thanks. So the website for that is thenewbodymind.com/webinar. And they can sign up, pick a time, and join me there. And just to feel it, like really go into like, how do I feel in this? Because I think a lot of the pain and frustration, a lot of coaches feel too. So yes. Long answer.
And we have a lot of healers. A lot of healers are drawn to retreats. A lot of Reiki practitioners are drawn to retreats. And so I definitely think we have a lot of those listeners.
Yes. So please just go watch and you'll learn something no matter what. And it's awesome.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here. I know you and I could jam for a week. We're both committed to excellence and, really giving and having people step into this space. You don't have to be stuck. You don't have to be burnt out. You don't have to be feeling all those things in your body that you don't want to feel. And I just love you. I love your work in the world.
Can I add to that list? You also don't, it's not your responsibility to like carry your client. Just be in yourself and know that is the invitation they need to be present for themselves.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That is so good.
Yeah.
And that is that place of, like you said, we don't work with the newbies. We don't like making that really clear that it's not your gig to bring everybody with you.
No.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Laura.
Oh, thanks,
All
Darla.
right, everybody, go to the new bodymind.com/webinar. Opt in, get on Laura's list, be in her community, be the first to know. And thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, Laura.
Bye.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Retreat and Grow Rich, the podcast. If so, please share your experience and spread the word. Also, please subscribe over on iTunes and leave us a fabulous review. It makes a big difference in helping to get the word out. And you can join me in my mission to normalize transformation on the planet, one intimate retreat at a time. You can find show notes from this and all of our episodes over at alignedentrepreneurs.com/podcast. If you'd like to understand the inner workings of my retreat-based business model and build your confidence in your retreat dreams, you can grab my book, Retreat and Grow Rich, over on Amazon. It's the entrepreneur's guide to powerful, profitable retreats. If you've been wanting to incorporate transformational retreats into your fabulous business model, but you're not quite sure where to start, hop on over to retreatleaderquiz.com. In this short 10-question quiz, you will receive your personalized results, one of 6 retreat leader archetypes that will show you what your strengths are as a retreat leader, the pitfalls to look out for, and even give you a sample agenda that you can take and make your own. Again, that's at retreatleaderquiz.com.